podcast where truth moves faster than a Holstein calf. No waiting on some pretty page. We're charting new ground in the digital age. From genomic codes to roll-out facts, we cut through the noise, no holding back. Not your daddy's dairy news tonight. We're sparking debates with every insight. The ring's not where the real fight's at. It's in the data, in the channel chat. From pasture to processor to your morning cup, we're raising the stakes. Try and get ahead of herd. Yeah! Where the future's more than just a word. Ahead of herd. Come on! The Bullvine's calling, let your voice be heard.
Welcome to the Bullvine podcast, the leading voice in dairy industry intelligence. I'm your host, and this is the show that brings you cutting-edge insights, market analysis, and practical strategies to help your dairy operation thrive in today's rapidly changing agricultural landscape. Today, we're diving deep into a phenomenon that's been reshaping how consumers think about agriculture and creating unprecedented opportunities for forward-thinking dairy producers. We're talking about the Clarkson effect. You've probably heard of Jeremy Clarkson's farm on Amazon Prime. What started as entertainment has evolved into something much more significant, a catalyst that's driving measurable changes in consumer behavior, policy decisions, and market opportunities that smart dairy producers are already capitalizing on. In this episode, we'll explore how a celebrity farmer accidentally cracked the code on agricultural communication that our industry has been struggling with for decades. More importantly, we'll break down the concrete opportunities this creates for your dairy operation. From direct-to-consumer strategies to premium pricing opportunities that are delivering real results for producers who know how to leverage them. Whether you're running a 50-cow operation in Vermont or managing a 1,000-head dairy in California, the insights we're sharing today could fundamentally change how you think about marketing your milk, connecting with consumers, and building long-term profitability in an increasingly complex marketplace. So grab your coffee, and let's dive into how the Clarkson effect is creating the biggest marketing opportunity our industry has seen in a generation.
Welcome back to the Bullvine podcast, the show that digs deep into the topics that matter to dairy producers.
You got it. Today, we're diving into a feature article from the Bullvine that has truly sparked a conversation across the industry. This isn't just another story. It's a deep dive into the Clarkson effect on dairy marketing and what it fundamentally means for your operation. We're going to unpack how a renowned TV personality, someone who openly admits to knowing absolutely nothing about farming, quite accidentally stumbled upon a marketing truth. A truth that the dairy industry and agriculture as a whole has been, grappling with for decades. The profound impact of authentic communication on consumer behavior, and more importantly, how that translates into real, measurable changes in the marketplace.
So let's really get into this. The article wastes no time in introducing Jeremy Clarkson, a figure you might know more from cars than cows, right? Yet he's become this unlikely agricultural icon. He himself would tell you he's no farmer, but somehow his show, Clarkson's Farm, has achieved a level of public engagement. And understanding that, honestly, many industry-led campaigns only dream of. How do you see his approach? It's so raw and unfiltered. How is it measurably shifting consumer perceptions and thinking about agriculture, especially dairy?
Yeah, what's genuinely fascinating here, and frankly a little humbling for those of us who spent careers in ag, is how someone with zero prior agricultural background could have such a profound and, yes, accidental impact. The article makes it abundantly clear that while we might initially view his show as, pure entertainment, the sheer numbers tell an undeniable story of real engagement. We're not talking about a niche audience of farming enthusiasts here. Not at all. We're talking about Clarkson's Farm, Season 2 pulling in an astonishing 7.6 million UK viewers within 28 days of its launch, making it Amazon Prime's most watched original series in the country. Think about that. And it's not just a fleeting moment. Season 4 is averaging a robust 4.4 million viewers per episode. To put that in perspective, that's not just mainstream. That's blockbuster territory for a show centered on farming. It demonstrates a massive, previously untapped hunger for real agricultural content.
Those numbers are truly staggering, really are.
It's so easy to just dismiss this as another celebrity reality show, but the article drills down on something far more significant. It's not just about getting eyeballs on a screen, it's about actual measurable consumer behavior change. When you look at the sales figures reported by Waitrose, a major UK supermarket following recent seasons, it becomes incredibly clear. We're talking about British sirloin sales rocketing up by 193%, Jersey Royal potato seeing an 89% increase, and even Red Leicester cheese jumping by 50%. This isn't just fleeting buzz or social media chatter. This is tangible willingness from consumers to pay a premium for products that they feel more connected to, products from a farming system they now understand a little better, maybe.
Absolutely. The data from Waitrose is critical because it moves beyond mere viewership and into the undeniable realm of economic impact. It directly proves that consumers are willing to pay a premium for transparency and for a story they can believe in. For decades, our industry has often focused marketing efforts on technical specifications, butterfat percentages, protein levels, yield figures. And while those are absolutely vital for producers, they often don't resonate deeply with the average consumer, the person who just wants to feel good about the food they're buying. This Clarkson effect fundamentally challenges us to rethink our traditional marketing strategies. It really does. It suggests that consumers are responding to authenticity, to a genuine, unvarnished story about food production, far more than they are to a product's technical features. It's about building a deep, empathetic trust. And that trust, as we're seeing, is directly translating into higher sales and critically better margins for producers who lean into this approach.
Right, that trust. And part of that trust, what's truly counterintuitive, is something the article highlights as the paradox of transparent failure. Clarkson, in his typical fashion, opened his books completely, exposed the raw, often brutal financial realities of farming. The article spotlights his now famous declaration of a paltry 144 profit for an entire year's work on Diddley Squat Farm. For us in the industry, that number is shocking, almost unbelievable. But for millions of viewers, it finally hit home. The stark financial realities of farming that we've been trying to explain for years. Each our bankers, our families, our communities. It stripped away any romanticized notions and made the struggle incredibly relatable, almost universally understood.
But what's absolutely crucial to understand here, and the article rightly emphasizes this, is the significant distinction. The difference between Clarkson's situation and that of a typical dairy producer listening right now. The article points out that Clarkson has a £43 million safety net. He's essentially insulated from genuine financial ruin. So when his ventures fail, when he loses an entire crop or a project doesn't pan out, it's disappointing television, maybe even comedic. But for you, the dairy producer, when an expansion gets derailed by unforeseen regulations or a disease outbreak hits your herd, that isn't just a setback. That's your kid's college fund, it's your retirement planning, it's the multi-generational farm's future. That's real existential financial pain, not a plot point. It's about maintaining livelihood and legacy.
Exactly. And yet it's precisely this financial immunity that Clarkson enjoys, ironically, that allowed him to be radically authentic in a way that most producers simply cannot afford to be. The profound insight here is that if a multimillionaire with virtually unlimited resources, access to expert advisors, and zero debt pressure can barely break even on his farming venture, it dramatically illustrates the immense, often invisible challenges facing your operation. It strips away any lingering romanticized notions of farming and shows it for the incredibly difficult, high-risk, and often low-margin business it truly is. This unexpected honesty built an unprecedented level of relatability, didn't it?
It did. And what industry observations consistently suggest is that this radical transparency, when done right and with genuine intention, build more consumer trust than decades of sanitized, feel-good marketing ever could. Consumers are increasingly discerning and, more importantly, hungry for real stories about food production. The good, the bad, the beautiful, and the muddy. They're tired of perfectly curated, idealized images that don't reflect reality. They want to understand the effort, the risks, and the deep passion that goes into putting quality food on their tables. They want to connect with the human element behind their sustenance.
So, for you, the dairy producer listening today, this isn't about pivoting your entire operation to become a TV star or transforming your farm into a massive tourist attraction overnight. That's not the point. It's about recognizing that showing the true, often challenging reality of what you do every single day. The hard work, the unpredictability, the dedication, the science, and the passion, it resonates profoundly with consumers. And it can drive real market value. It's about finding accessible ways to share your authentic story, whether that's through a thoughtful social media post, a farm gate sale, or maybe a small educational tour. That genuine connection, that understanding you foster, it's incredibly powerful. That insight into radical transparency is really powerful. But how does this translate when we look at something as fundamental and unpredictable as the weather? Something every farmer lives and breathes. Here's where it gets really interesting for me. The article highlights how Clarkson's show transformed weather from mere small talk into an existential farming reality for millions of viewers. We as producers know the agony of watching the forecast, living and breathing those shifts in temperature and precipitation. But for many consumers, it was like a revelation. What specifically stood out to you about this aspect and its impact?
Yeah, what's truly striking here is how the show finally gave the public a tangible, visceral appreciation for what we, as farmers, deal with daily, hourly even. The example of Clarkson calculating a staggering 33,750-pound loss on a single crop because it rained too much is incredibly impactful. Think about that number. It's not just a statistic. It's a direct hit to the bottom line. A catastrophic loss due to something completely beyond your control. Every dairy producer listening knows that sinking feeling in the pit of their stomach when storm clouds threaten first cutting, or when a prolonged drought means you're burning through stored feed by April, months ahead of schedule, drastically increasing your input costs. The article even mentions a producer in eastern Wisconsin who went through their entire corn silage reserve months early due to this exact scenario. It takes the abstract concept of weather and transforms it into a concrete, devastating financial reality for the layperson, building a level of empathy that, frankly, just didn't exist before on that scale.
And this newfound public understanding of farming's intrinsic reliance on factors beyond human control, particularly unpredictable weather. It's absolutely crucial. It's not just about generating empathy, it's about building a foundational level of support for agricultural policies. The article notes that recent surveys indicate surprisingly high levels of public recognition of these external dependencies. This is incredibly significant because it provides crucial political cover for policies supporting agricultural resilience and risk management, the kind of vital policies that our industry has needed for years to help manage these inherent, often volatile risks. When the public genuinely understands the challenges, they're far more likely to support measures that help farmers navigate them, seeing it not as a handout, perhaps, but as a necessary investment in food security.
Precisely. And the influence of the show wasn't just limited to shifting public perception. It actually translated into tangible, measurable policy changes. This is where it gets really exciting from a legislative standpoint. It shows a rare, direct line from entertainment to actionable governance. Clarkson's televised planning battles his often frustrating attempts to diversify his farm and gain local planning permission, directly led to new permitted development rights, which have been rather aptly dubbed Clarkson's Clause. This clause makes it significantly easier for farmers to convert unused agricultural buildings into commercial spaces without needing full, often prohibitively costly, time-consuming, and bureaucratic planning applications.
That's absolutely huge for diversification opportunities, isn't it? Especially for dairy operations looking to adapt to changing markets. For dairy producers specifically, this means easier farm shop development. Fantastic for direct-to-consumer sales, letting you capture more of the retail dollar. It simplifies creating agritourism facilities, letting farms bring in visitors for tours or experiences, and create additional vital revenue streams. Overall, it significantly reduces bureaucracy for diversification projects that might have been too cumbersome or expensive to pursue before. And the changes under Clarkson's Clause are quite substantial too, doubling allowable commercial conversion space from 500 square meters to a full 1,000 square meters, and even increasing residential conversion possibilities for disused barns. It's a genuine legislative win directly traceable to public awareness.
Wow. It's truly remarkable to witness such a direct line from a popular entertainment show to actual agricultural legislation. Government ministers have directly acknowledged the show's influence in cutting what they termed needless bureaucracy that was stifling farm growth and diversification. This is a powerful testament to how widespread public understanding of farming challenges, illuminated by an unexpected source, can actually translate into real policy action that benefits farmers directly. It's not often you see public sentiment, amplified by media, result in such a specific and beneficial legislative outcome for agriculture.
This raises an important question for you, the listener. Have you considered how these very tangible policy changes, prompted by this increased public understanding and subsequent legislative action, might directly benefit your operations diversification or direct-to-consumer sales plans. It's not just a distant celebrity story playing out in the UK. The public's increased understanding, globally and locally, can translate to a potentially more supportive regulatory environment right here, right now for your farm. It's about seizing the window of opportunity that public sentiment has opened, maybe looking at those old barns again.
Good point.
Okay, so that leads us to the next big question. We've talked about the shift in consumer mindset and even policy changes. But how does all of this actually translate into your milk check? How do you make it work financially? The article moves into the practical applications, showing how forward-thinking producers are already capitalizing on this new consumer awareness. What's happening on the ground, and what are the most effective strategies you're seeing?
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the consumer behavior data we're seeing reveals genuine, measurable market shifts that dairy producers can leverage right now. Agricultural extension reports consistently indicate that consumers who are exposed to authentic, unvarnished farming content, like Clarkson's farm, are significantly more willing to pay premiums for locally sourced products. This isn't theoretical, it's happening. Those sales increases at Waitrose we discussed earlier, the 193% jump in sirloin, the 50% increase in cheese, these aren't anomalies. They're symptoms of a fundamental change in consumer mindset. People are actively seeking out products from farms they feel they understand and trust, and they're willing to financially back that trust. They're voting with their wallets.
And the article provides some excellent concrete examples of how direct-to-consumer strategies are truly paying off. It highlights a specific Vermont operation that pivoted towards artisan cheese production, crucially combined with immersive on-farm experiences. Their approach wasn't just about selling a block of cheese. It emphasized traditional cheese-making techniques, state-of-the-art animal care, and a deep commitment to environmental stewardship, essentially telling a holistic, compelling story about their entire farm-to-table process. They built a narrative around their product, not just the label.
And the results for that Vermont operation are incredibly compelling. Really are. They achieved significant margin improvements over commodity pricing within just 18 months, meaning they achieved a much higher profit per pound or per gallon than if they had simply sold their milk into the general undifferentiated market. Not only that, they developed waiting lists for their premium cheese subscriptions. That indicates incredibly high demand, and generated substantial supplemental revenue from educational programs and farm tours. This directly demonstrates these 60% margin improvements mentioned in the key takeaways, real, tangible financial benefits from embracing this authentic direct-to-consumer model. It shows how telling your story can directly impact your bottom line. Seriously.
The key here, as the article so effectively points out, is not about choosing between good farming practices and good marketing. It's not either. It's about brilliantly combining robust operational excellence with transparent storytelling. It's about showing how precision agriculture, for example, those advanced technologies like robotic milkers or sophisticated feed management systems, isn't just about efficiency or maximizing yield. It's about articulating how these technologies directly serve cow comfort, contribute to environmental stewardship by minimizing waste, and ultimately enhance product quality. It's about reframing those technological advancements not as something that replaces traditional farming values, but as something that enhances and supports them, making you even better stewards of the land and animals. The article states that premium positioning through this kind of transparency can drive 15-40% higher revenue. That's a transformative impact on profitability for any operation.
Absolutely. And what's particularly interesting is observing how this consumer shift manifests differently depending on regional contexts. In places like Wisconsin and Minnesota, where dairy heritage runs incredibly deep, there's already an inherent appreciation for agriculture, right? The show often reinforced existing consumer understanding. What we're seeing there is an expansion of market reach. Producers reporting increased interest from urban consumers in places like the Twin Cities and Milwaukee, who are now willing to drive longer distances specifically for direct purchases from farms. They were already kind of predisposed to supporting local, and this type of content solidifies and expands that connection, moves it from a general idea to a specific farm.
But then, in the Northeast, particularly near major metropolitan areas, where consumers might have significant disposable income but historically limited direct exposure to agriculture, operations are finding success by developing diverse educational offerings. These initiatives capitalize on that heightened public curiosity, leveraging urban disposable income for immersive on-farm experiences, guided tours, educational programs, teaching city dwellers about where their food truly comes from, how it's produced, the care involved. It's about meeting consumers where they are, tailoring the approach to the regional context, and transforming curiosity into commercial opportunity.
And what's truly fascinating is seeing technology integration become a central, compelling part of the storytelling. Modern precision ag systems offer unprecedented opportunities for consumer engagement that simply weren't available a generation ago. Think about GPS-guided equipment that meticulously manages nutrient application, automated feeding systems providing individualized nutrition, or robotic milking technology that tracks each cow's health and productivity in real time. This isn't just about efficiency for the farm, though it is that too. This cutting-edge technology creates incredibly compelling visual content for consumers, demonstrating the sophistication and the care involved in modern agriculture. It shows them, in a very tangible way, how seriously you take animal welfare, resource management, and producing a quality product. It demystifies the farm.
It really is about practicing what the article calls radical transparency, but, within practical farm limits. This means being genuinely open about your practices, sharing the challenges you face, explaining your management decisions, showcasing your expertise, all, of course, without revealing sensitive proprietary financial information. Nobody's asking for that. It's about authentically responding to questions, inviting curiosity, and building relationships directly with your customers, rather than just broadcasting generic, sanitized information. That genuine connection, that sense of shared understanding, is what truly sets successful operations apart in today's market. It's humanizing the farm experience.
Now, I know what many of you might be thinking. This all sounds incredibly appealing, but it also sounds like a lot of extra work and potentially expensive work on top of everything else you're already managing on the farm. But the article offers a really encouraging point. The approach that's working doesn't necessarily require massive, intimidating upfront infrastructure investments. The most successful implementations we've seen often start incredibly small and scale up as demand builds. It's about testing the waters.
Exactly. It might begin very simply with an authentic social media presence. Focus primarily on educational content about your daily operations, seasonal challenges, management decisions. The primary investment here is truly your time and some basic equipment, often just a smartphone with a good camera. What truly works is consistent weekly content showing routine herd management, explaining seasonal decisions, like why you're switching to stored forages or how you're implementing heat stress protocols. It's about discussing the economic realities you face without getting into specifics you're uncomfortable with. It's about showing the intelligence, dedication, and care involved.
On the flip side, what the research shows doesn't work are generic posts about happy cows without context, or purely promotional content that lacks genuine educational value, or inconsistent posting schedules. Consumers see through that. They're looking for substance, for a story, and for consistency. Once you've built that initial engagement and understanding, you can then test the market with limited direct sales offerings. Perhaps just bottled milk, or simple dairy products like fresh yogurt, or a basic cheese, or even small, basic educational programs. This allows you to gauge consumer interest, refine your approach, and build demand without having to commit to any major infrastructure investments prematurely.
And for that investment reality check, yes, initial infrastructure for direct sales processing equipment, retail licensing, basic customer facilities does inevitably require investment. But the annual marketing investment for these premium direct-to-consumer models typically runs about 3-5% of gross revenue. That's certainly a higher percentage than for commodity-focused operations, which often have minimal marketing budgets. But it's a necessary investment for maintaining premium pricing, capturing a larger share of the consumer dollar, and building a loyal recurring customer base that appreciates your product story.
And the evidence strongly suggests that operations successfully implementing these direct sales strategies see meaningful margin improvements over commodity pricing, often quite rapidly. Furthermore, long-term customer value data reveals that direct sales customers demonstrate significantly higher lifetime value and loyalty compared to anonymous retail purchasers. This provides a much more stable and predictable revenue base, which is absolutely invaluable during times of market volatility, like fluctuating milk prices. It's about building a sustainable, resilient business model directly connected to your consumers, creating a buffer against the whims of the wider market.
Okay, so it's one thing for consumers to be interested, even captivated by something like Clarkson's farm, but how is the farming community itself reacting to all of this? The article touches on this, revealing where the industry stands on consumer communication and this new era of transparency. What are you hearing from predictors? What's the general sentiment?
Yeah, what's truly fascinating here is the mixed response within the agricultural community. It's not uniform. Most producers genuinely appreciate the increased public awareness that shows like Clarkson's Farm have brought to the realities of farming. They see the value. But there's also a healthy, understandable skepticism about celebrity farming. The article quotes a fourth-generation dairy farmer who put it perfectly, and I think this really captures the nuance. Before all this, you only saw two extremes of farming on TV, either the quaint smallholder with rare breeds or the factory farm expose. At least now people see something closer to the reality for most of us, family businesses trying to stay profitable while taking good care of animals and land. This perspective really highlights how Clarkson, despite his, let's say, unconventional approach, bridged a massive gap in public understanding, moving beyond simplistic narratives.
That quote really resonates, captures the core truth. But what truly bothers many producers, and the article addresses this directly, is the stark, undeniable difference between celebrity financial immunity and the very real existential farm risk that most operations face every single day. When celebrity ventures fail, as we discussed, it's often framed as a disappointing setback or even a quirky plot point for television, a temporary inconvenience.
Exactly. But when your feed storage facility gets denied by local planning authorities or devastating reproductive issues hit your herd, the financial consequences are profound and immediate. We're talking about direct impacts on family security, on the ability to send kids to college, and crucially, on the continuity of multi-generational farms. Current trends show machinery costs increasing by 3 to 4% annually, and volatile feed costs continue to pressure margins significantly, pushing many operations to the brink. This creates a difficult disconnect where viewers, seeing a celebrity laugh off massive losses, might inadvertently think, if this guy can laugh off these problems, why are farmers always struggling and needing support? It can create a misunderstanding if not properly addressed by real farmers telling their own authentic stories, showcasing the gravity of their financial realities.
Right. Despite that skepticism and the inherent disconnect, what's encouraging is that successful producers are finding ingenious ways to use this increased consumer interest authentically. They're not trying to mimic a celebrity farmer, they're building on their existing strengths, maintaining their unwavering focus on operational excellence, and genuinely engaging with consumers who want to understand where their food comes from and the dedication behind it. The article highlights that consumer trust in farming has hit 76%, the highest levels in modern history, creating unprecedented opportunities for local dairy marketing in 2025. That's not just a powerful statistic. It's a green light for producers to step forward and tell their story. The appetite is there.
Absolutely. And what's particularly encouraging is seeing younger producers embracing these communication opportunities. For them, it's not viewed as a separate, burdensome marketing activity. It's a natural, integral extension of agricultural professionalism. It's just part of the job now. They're integrating consumer education directly into their daily operations, using precision agriculture technology not just for efficiency, but explicitly to enhance transparency and demonstrate their commitment to animal welfare and sustainability. They're building business models that actually benefit from heightened consumer interest, rather than just tolerating it as a necessary evil. They truly see the inherent value in connecting directly with the end user and are building it into their long-term strategy.
The bottom line, after watching how this phenomenon has played out and talking with producers across the industry, is that the celebrity farmer trend, accidental as it may be, revealed a deep, previously unmet consumer hunger for authentic agricultural stories and transparent communication about food production. Smart, forward-thinking producers are stepping up and meeting that demand with genuine expertise. Combining agricultural innovation with deep-rooted traditional farming values. It's a powerful blend.
The biggest winners in this evolving landscape will undoubtedly be those dairy operations that master this blend. The blend of operational excellence producing high-quality milk efficiently and ethically and authentic storytelling. It's about demonstrating that modern agriculture seamlessly integrates traditional farming values with advanced technology, environmental stewardship, and genuine consumer responsiveness. This profound shift in consumer awareness is, without a doubt, the single biggest marketing opportunity our industry has seen in a generation. The trend is clear, the public is engaged, and it's time for more producers to seize it and tell their incredible stories.
So then, after all that, what's the key takeaway for a dairy farmer listening today? What's the first small, actionable step your operation can take to begin telling your unique story and capitalize on this huge shift in consumer mindset?
Well, look, you are genuinely leaving serious money on the table if you're content hiding behind commodity pricing. Instead of actively building direct consumer relationships, we've seen undeniable proof, like Waitrose reporting those 193% increases in British beef sales and 50% jumps in cheese after consumers gained a clearer understanding of farming economics. The article specifically highlights operations achieving 15–40% margin improvements through these direct sales strategies. That's significant. So here's what you can concretely do starting today. First, get radically transparent in practical ways. Direct-to-consumer dairy operations are seeing up to 60% margin improvements within 18 months. By combining artisan production with educational farm experiences, a powerful first step. Start documenting your daily management decisions on social media. Show the science behind your precise feed ration calculations. Explain why each ingredient matters for cow health and milk quality. Detail your reproductive protocols, highlighting the care and planning involved. Move beyond generic happy cow content to showcase the genuine expertise and meticulous care that goes into what you do every day. People are curious about the how and why.
Okay, that's transparency. What's next?
Second, leverage your precision agriculture technology as a storytelling tool. Premium positioning through transparency drives 15–40% higher revenue. Remember that. Demonstrate how your proficient ag systems aren't just about efficiency. They directly serve cow comfort, optimize their health, and ensure milk quality. Begin with weekly posts explaining specific seasonal decisions. For instance, walk your followers through why you're switching to stored forages in winter, or how you're implementing your heat stress protocols in summer. Showing the data you collect and the science behind your choices. Show the sophistication and the profound benefits of your modern farming practices.
Got it. Leverage tech. What about buildings?
Third, look closely at your existing infrastructure. Policy changes, like Clarkson's clause, are making it significantly easier. Now allowing 1,000 square meter agricultural building conversions without full planning applications. This dramatically streamlines the development of farm shops, on-farm creameries, or agritourism facilities. Evaluate your unused buildings for potential direct sales or educational program spaces while these streamlined regulations are still new and highly beneficial. There might be an opportunity sitting right there on your property that you hadn't considered viable before.
Makes sense. Check the infrastructure. How about starting out?
Fourth, and this is crucial, just start small. Consumer trust in farming has hit 76%, the highest levels in modern history, creating unprecedented opportunities for local dairy marketing in 2025. You don't need a huge budget or a grand plan to begin. Test your local market with very limited direct sales offerings. Perhaps just bottled milk or simple cheese products like fresh curds or a basic cheddar, or offer a basic short educational program for local families. See what sticks, what resonates most with your local community, and build from there before making any major infrastructure investments. It's about iterating and learning.
Start small, test the waters, and the final point.
Finally, and perhaps most importantly, focus relentlessly on authentic expertise. Operations that successfully combine robust operational excellence with truly authentic storytelling are building 12-month waiting lists for their premium products, while maintaining excellent production efficiency. If you've got good genetics, if you're achieving solid feed efficiency, and if you can demonstrate decent cow comfort scores, you've already got the essential foundation. Now, you just need to tell that story with genuine expertise, professional integrity, and a willingness to share your daily realities. Your knowledge, your passion, and your daily hard work are your most powerful, untapped marketing tools. Use them. Great points. Those are some really tangible and powerful points. And that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. For more articles and insights that matter to dairy producers, be sure to visit www.thebullvine.com.
And don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your deep dives. Thanks for listening.
That's a wrap on today's deep dive into the Clarkson effect and what it really means for dairy marketing in 2025. The key takeaway here isn't about Jeremy Clarkson. It's about understanding that consumers are hungry for authentic stories about food production. They're willing to pay premiums when they understand the real challenges and expertise behind what we do every day. The question is, are you ready to tell your story? If you're thinking about implementing some of these direct-to-consumer strategies, remember to start small. Document your management decisions on social media. Show the science behind your feeding protocols. Be transparent about your challenges while highlighting your expertise. The infrastructure investments can come later, but the relationship building starts now. Want to dive deeper into these strategies? Head over to thebullvine.com, where you'll find detailed analysis, implementation guides, and case studies from operations that are already seeing results. That's thebullvine.com. If today's episode sparked some ideas for your operation, share it with a fellow producer who might benefit from these insights. The dairy industry is stronger when we're all informed and adapting to market opportunities together. Thanks for joining us on the Bullvine podcast. I'm your host, reminding you that in this business, information isn't just power, it's profit. Until next time, keep building that bottom line.